Kids are always asking about different things in space that they don't really understand, and they'd like an explanation. Like, what are the northern lights? The aurora borealis, what is that? Those are actually solar explosions. Explosions on the sun that when they come through our atmosphere breaks up the lights from the explosion into kind of what looks like a shimmering rainbow in the sky. A lot of the times kids are like, Radical Rob, what's going on with the difference between an asteroid or a meteor or a comet or any of these things that they see in the sky? Well, that's what I'm here to talk about today. First, let's touch on a comet. Now, a comet orbits the sun. That's what it does. It goes around the sun. Sometimes it takes a really long time, 200 plus years. Sometimes it's less than that. Halley's Comet, about 87 years or something like that. Comets are made up of a few different things. They're made up of frozen gases. They're made up of dust and dirt from other planets or asteroids or meteorites. And they're also made up of some different chemicals too. So I think what we're going to do here today is we're going to essentially build a comet that you can build in your kitchen. And to do this, obviously, if you're doing this at home, you're going to need some gloves and some safety goggles. For this one, faux show. Okay, got those. So, good way to start it off with is a bucket. Now this can get quite messy, so I always like to line the bucket with something. In this case, I think a trash bag is going to work. Okay, so some frozen gases. I bet you guys can only imagine what kind of stuff I might be using for that. A good old frozen carbon dioxide, also known as dry ice. So we'll add some dry ice first. 109 degrees below zero, if you remember from earlier today. I'm going to crush up some of the dry ice first before I put it into said comet. Okay, there's that. Please, Hammer, don't hurt him. I know, that was the name of an MC Hammer album. That just goes to date Radical Rob. Because, you know, I'm too legit to quit when I pray.
You got to pray just to make it today. It goes back to my millipede, you know, by the name of Milli Vanilli from the same era.
That's right. I had those pants, too. I had those same MC Hammer pants. Those things were fly.
Parachute pants, we used to call those.
Yeah.
All right, putting it in.
Cool. Got a bunch of the dry ice going in here. Now, some of the other different gases that are coming off of a comet are gases like ammonia. And guess what? I brought with me here today some Windex. Windex, when we wash windows, we are using mostly a chemical of ammonia.
I thought maybe you were going to wash my windows, Radical Rob.
Maybe later. We'll see, Molecular Mike. All right, Windex, folks. Now, they're also called dirty snowballs, comets, because they are made of, dust and dirt as well. So, I got some dirt here. Got some dust, in this instance some cornstarch. Cool. And then just to give it a nice little more color, some Worcestershire, some Worcester sauce. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm thinking maybe a little more dirt. And maybe a little bit of H2O. Cool. So these are basically the main ingredients in a comet. We're going to let these kind of marinate here for a second. See if it can get it to form up. Now, when we're talking about the difference between the comets and the asteroids and the meteorites, again, all of these things are basically space debris flying around in space. There's a big asteroid belt that occurs between Mars and Jupiter. Sometimes some rocks from there escape and they go traveling out. Sometimes they go traveling towards the planet Earth. Now, luckily, we have this atmosphere that will burn up the asteroid pretty well before it actually hits the planet Earth. But some certain asteroids and meteors, if they hit in the middle of the ocean, they can cause a huge tidal wave. There was a meteor that struck Russia. Let's see, where is it? Russia here. It struck Russia back in 2013, and it basically caused a whole big region of Russia. All their glass exploded out of their windows. No one was hurt, amazingly enough. Glass exploding everywhere. And then it's a little bit different when these things are, instead of not crashing into the planet Earth, they're crashing into, let's say, the moon. The moon doesn't really have an atmosphere to help it burn up. So that's why you get the big craters that kind of look like the face, like a man in the moon. I'll demonstrate that. So this container right here is just a mix of cool blue rocks, cool black rocks, and pinto beans. Now let's say this represents the surface of our moon. When the asteroid or meteor is going to come down and crash through, it's going to go right, because there's no atmosphere needed on the moon, bam! It's going to hit in, and it's going to make these craters. There is no man on the moon. Those are only craters. The moon is not made of cheese, or at least I don't think that it is. I've never been there. So, crater down! All right. Now, comets, you'll know them because they have a big tail, too, right? And to demonstrate the tail aspect, I'll use this tube and some dry ice and some warm water. Again, if you're ever experimenting with dry ice at home, kids, don't ever touch it with your bare skin. It's not going to freeze you as fast as, let's say, liquid nitrogen, but after just a few seconds, you will get frostbite. And frostbite can be very, very dangerous and very deadly as well. Right, a few more little pieces of the dry ice into the tube. Ooh, oh, there we go. And to generate the comet's tail, again, just some warm H2O. 2 parts hydrogen, 1 part oxygen, coming together, yes, to make the water molecule. So, you got your space rock flying through, orbiting the sun, sometimes at a huge orbit that takes a long time to get all the way around, sometimes at a much smaller orbit. It's having these gases that are moving around too that cause the tail of the comet that you're going to see that. So asteroids and meteors don't really have the tail. That is unique to the comet. Speaking of the comet, I think it might be a good time to check in on our kitchen comet that we just made a few minutes ago and see if it's formed up yet. Just set this over here. All right. Ooh, space rock. Cool. Again, what we had put in here dry ice. We had put some ammonia. We had put some cornstarch, some dirt, some H2O, and some Worcester sauce.
Really the world's worst restaurant, Rob. Really bad Yelp reviews.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Worcester sauce. Wicked Worcester. All right, turn it around. Oh, yeah. Nice chunk. Check this thing out, y'all. Basically, we have made our very own gooey, smelly kitchen comet that still will sublimate quite a bit. Yeah, it's pretty gross, but it's pretty fun.
That's yuck, yeah.
Nice.
And so that's what comets are made of. Huh?
Yeah, essentially space dust and dirt and gases and water. Nice. So that's just a little bit difference between those different types of what we call space phenomena. In our NASA classes, we do have classes that deal with how astronauts live in space, classes on the planets and the moons. We have a really cool class about the sun and the stars and how our sun is essentially a star and how stars go through different life cycles, starting from babies, going up to supernovas, and finally turning into black holes. If you'd really like to learn more about it, we would really like to teach you. Again, our NASA classes are going to be live around San Diego all this summer. And to learn more about it, all you got to do is check out madscience.org, or you can search engine Mad Science of San Diego. We also do the birthday parties. We do the workshops. Hopefully, we're going to be back to doing library shows this summer as well. Keep a lookout for that.